I'm Ben Data, CEO of Food Maven and a Denver Startup Week co-founder. Denver Startup Week has always been about community. And today, it's more important than ever to show how we can come together to create opportunities out of the challenges that we face. Opportunities for every member of the community. Before we dive in, we want to say a special thank you to our 2020 Denver Startup Week sponsors who make it all possible. Thanks to our title sponsors, Downtown Denver Partnership, JP Morgan Chase, Prologis, and Xero. And our track sponsors who have made all the great content you're hearing today possible. Battery 621 and the Public Works, Capital One Cafe, Colorado Lending Source, Friday Health, Quizlet, Exactly, Zayo, and Zestful. Our headline event sponsors are bringing the excitement this week. Thank you to Wix, Kenzen, MAPR Agency, Obsidian HR, Kickstart Fund, Promontory Mortgage, Molson Coors, and Comcast. Finally, thank you to our partner and member sponsors listed on the screen. Thank you for your support of Denver Startup Week. You help make all of this possible.
At Zayo, our fiber fuels global innovation. Everything we do, everything we can imagine. Never in history has innovation happened at such a rapid pace. And all of it depends on bandwidth connectivity. Millions of miles of Zayo's fiber span the globe, traveling unique routes, providing dense metro footprints, offering next-generation solutions. We didn't just see the future of fiber, we built it. We delivered it. Every millisecond, our fiber is fueling crucial operations, breakthroughs, and innovations for the world's most impactful companies. Companies that are disrupting the status quo, igniting imaginations, revolutionizing industries, and creating brand new ones. Our customers are advancing wireless communication, transforming healthcare, changing education, revolutionizing transportation, redefining banking, powering retail, and upping the game in esports. These innovators rely on Zayo's fast, secure fiber networks to connect their offices, factories, data centers, clouds, exchanges, venues, and more. Ultimately, fueling innovation and transforming lives. And behind those fiber connections, Zayo is all about human connections. We take ownership in all we do. Our employees take the initiative to deliver trusted solutions to every customer and make their experience effortless. We are energetic and entrepreneurial, a partner to rely on. We are Zayo. We are working with our customers on what comes next, constantly anticipating what can be. We are fueling global innovation that is changing the world.
All right, stand by. 3, 2, 1.
Good morning and welcome to Denver Startup Week. This is our 8th annual Denver Startup Week, and my name is Joe Coleman. I'm with Chase Bank, who's proud to be the title sponsor once again of our 2020 Denver Startup Week. I'm joined here in studio by Joanna Cintron with Revision, Monique Lovato with Casa Resource Center, and Mario Gonzalez also with Chase Bank. And we have on the Zoom line Seal Prinster of the
creating a safe space to learn, grow, and connect. That's regardless of gender identity, gender expression, race, ability, sexual orientation, or any combination of those identities. Make sure to check out other MakerTrack sessions. You'll see some throughout the day with a wrench icon, as well as check out other sessions. Today we have a really, really packed day. Actually, it might be the most packed day of Denver Startup Week this year. During the session, use the chat function, use the Q&A function, make sure you're engaging with the panelists. And also, if it's fine, you can talk with other members as well about the conversation that's happening. So thanks again for tuning in, and I will hand it over to our session organizer now.
All right, thank you, Michael, appreciate it. So I'll have my panelists go ahead and show their videos and unmute themselves. So I'll just do a quick introduction about myself and then introduce our panelists, and then we'll get started. So hello, welcome. My name is Sari Kimball. I work with packaged products, entrepreneurs who want to get into this space and help them create their big dream. And my business is called Food Business Success. I am also here representing Colorado FoodWorks. I am a board member and actually soon to take over the organization as president next month. And Colorado FoodWorks is a networking organization for Colorado food producers and service providers to work to create more community throughout Colorado. So this past June, as Black Lives Matter really heated up, I set about the mission of creating a list of Black-owned packaged products in our state. And maybe not surprisingly, the list was very, very small. And even if you open it up to all founders of color, that list was still, in my mind, way too small and not very diverse. So I wanted to open up a conversation about this topic and really have it be a learning experience for myself and open it up to everyone here watching. I don't know the answers, and ultimately, when the session was accepted, I immediately freaked out and thought, this is a terrible idea. What business do I have to be up here asking these amazing women about their stories? You know, let's just state the obvious. I'm a white woman of privilege and have benefited from the system. But I came to a place of like, no, this isn't about me. And I've been thinking of the mantra that Brene Brown offers a lot around, I'm here to get it right, not be right. And so I'm willing to go first and open up and create a space for this conversation with these awesome women here today. So I was challenged by my panelists to really think about inclusion just for this discussion. And so who is this for? This is for, first and foremost, for people of color who do want to get into the natural products space and talk about resources and ideas and challenges and ways that these panelists have overcome them. And then it's also for people in this space already, and maybe they're you're a leader in the industry, you're a service provider. How can we do better? And that's ultimately the goal. So I think that's all I wanted to say. Oh, and I was also challenged to reach out and not just rely on Denver Startup Week and Colorado FoodWorks marketing, but to really go out and find people of color to be a part of this conversation. So thank you to my panelists for challenging me to do that and take that extra step. I think that's one of my first lessons right there. So with that, I am excited to create the space and really turn it over to the panelists to be the ones who are graciously educating us. So I want to introduce each of them, and then I will turn it over to them to give a short introduction and about who they are and what their product is, and then we'll jump into questions. And we are opening it up to Q&A, so please type into that Q&A box, and we'll leave some time for that as well. So we have with us today Pamela Richard with Miss Peabody's Southern Tea Cakes, Angela Wells of Serene Naturals, and Betty Artez of Casa Alvarez Foods. So Pamela, I'll let you go first with a short introduction.
Good morning. As Siri said, my name is Pamela Richard, and I am the founder owner of Miss Peabody's Southern Tea Cakes. We are a small wholesale bakery specializing in Southern treats, namely tea cakes, pies, cobblers, and I just recently introduced Miss Peabody's Sweet Box, which is a dessert box containing 6 items, and one of those items is always produced by another female baker. Been in business 2 years, and I'm grateful to be on this panel. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Betty, go ahead. If you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Betty Artez. I'm the co-founder of Casa Alvarez Foods. We produce and sell and distribute packaged chili sauces that were developed for our longstanding restaurant in Boulder. My 2 sons and business partner we are it. We do have a co-packer that produces our products. But first of all, I also want to say that I'm an immigrant. That's how I identify, and I think that immigrant experience, which I share with many, has really helped me overcome and face challenges. So yeah, I think that this will be a very interesting session, and I thank you, Terry, for putting it all together and meeting the challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I should just clarify for people. Orion Brown was supposed to be here today, and she had a death in the family. And I reached out to Angela very last minute. And so I want to say thank you for stepping up and jumping on with us today. I think you'll bring a lot to the conversation. So if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate you thinking of me. And yes, I'm Angela Wells, and I'm the owner and operator of Serene Naturals, which is a collection of vegan hair, face, and body care products for women, men, and children. The company is rooted in my love and success with essential oils and finding the best ways to harness their power in hair and skincare products. And if you're wondering, the dictionary definition of serene is light rain falling from the sky with no clouds in sight. So my products are designed to hydrate and moisturize from crown to toe. If a formula calls for water, I'm going to use rose water. The ingredients that large corporations advertise but have at the bottom of their ingredients list, mine are at the top. And Serene Naturals offers products that hydrate, nourish, and seal in all that good stuff at affordable prices with excellent customer service. I've been in business for 4 years now, and due to COVID shutting down many of the festivals I've been at, I now primarily sell online at serenenaturals.com. And I do want to say that I would not be in business without the continued support of women. Women of all ages are by far my main demographic. And because of the success they've had with my products, they would reach out with requests for their whole family's needs, like maybe their man's scratchy beard or their child's dry scalp or hard to manage hair. And they would recommend products to their whole family. So that grew my collection to over 30 products at one point, but I had to make an executive decision to slow down and narrow it to the top 20 products since it's just me right now currently doing the manufacturing. I've been in Denver for 4 years now, and I actually moved here just 6 months after starting my business in Atlanta, where I lived for a couple of years. And I also love to cook. I recently started Angie's Vegan Cakes, which has helped me mitigate my losses during some of the more challenging months of this year from COVID.
Great. So both food and natural products. So that's great. All right. Well, thank you for those introductions. Some great comments in the chat as well, including Serene is my favorite and primary products for my hair. So nice. So I want to start with you, Pamela. You're the relatively newest founder in the group. So what challenges and obstacles are you coming up against or have come up against as a founder of color?
Well, one of the things I'm sure most of us have is finding funding. Since I am a food, I produce food. Another obstacle or some challenges is the commercial kitchen, finding an affordable kitchen. I got my bill for this kitchen this month, for my kitchen from last month, and it's pretty close to the cost of my mortgage. So yeah, I'm almost paying mortgage rates for a kitchen. Wow. And then just learning. I didn't go, I'm not a chef. I didn't go to school for cooking, for baking. This is just a business of my heart and my family and my ancestors. So I have to figure out a lot of things on my own because this is not what I was trained to do. My education is sociology and business, so but nothing to do with cooking. So it's been a challenge, but it's also been a blessing. But yeah, definitely trying to find money, being able to hire. There's times I've had large orders and I've had to call in family and friends to help me because I don't have a staff person that can help me. Finding money to get the right kind of equipment that could ease. Like I roll everything out by hand. So every pie that anyone eats, every ticket anyone eats is rolled by hand with the traditional rolling pin versus having a sheeter that could definitely cut things time in half. So I definitely would say just finding funding, finding assistance, and the right kind of equipment, and the kitchen. As a baker, kitchens are hard. It's very expensive to find a kitchen right now. So those are some of my obstacles as we speak.
Okay. And Betty, you've been in here in the business a long time, at least in the food industry in general. what, you started over 20 years ago with the restaurant. So tell me about, coming in 20 years ago into the space and how it's changed and what some of those obstacles have been for you.
Well, thank you. It's really interesting because my background was not restaurants. My background was a bilingual teacher. Which helped me in a way, in a lot of different ways. But I think one of the obstacles that as founders of color or entrepreneurs, we tend to try to go it alone. We become very passionate about our products. I mean, they are who we are. And it's not about an exit strategy. It's not about anything like that. So that makes it hard to bring people in that can assist us in the different aspects, because it involves, cooking and production and distribution and delivery. And we realize at one point that we can't do it all. So over the 20 years at the restaurant, I created relationships in the community, and they were very key. And I think that's one of the most important things, is developing relationships with people who understand the aspects of the business that you're really wanting to develop. That translated into helping us with the packaged goods, the chili sauces. These chili sauces we were serving at the restaurant for 20 years. So that was one of the confirmations that we had that, well, this might work, because you never really know when you go into this kind of business. So I think that's really important, is building the relationships. And I think also the funding. The funding is critical for any business to succeed, any business. And it's funny how when you approach a lender, whether it's just a conventional lender or a specialty like Colorado Lending Source or Colorado Enterprise Fund, those are two wonderful sources if anybody is looking for a startup. But usually, you'll ask for $75,000 and you'll get $50,000. So then you've got to make up the difference. So you're always working that. You're always raising money. And that's a skill that I think that if you're not skilled at, find someone who can help you. And people who are passionate about your business too. There are so many people that love your products, like the vegan health, the moisturizers and everything. It's just like you have a following, you have people in your network. Tap into that too, because I think that's one of the things that we did too. We've tapped into the Kiva loans, which are wonderful, and that's through Colorado Lending Source and through the Colorado Enterprise Fund. And now there are some amazing programs through the state of Colorado, the GAP Fund, that I think they're really looking especially to help out women-owned businesses and with businesses of color. So, and they have a lot of resources to help fill out the paperwork and all of that. So I think it's really about branching out. And I know it's really hard if you're doing the baking, the distribution, the finances, and we've all done it. So, but
all the hats.
Give yourself permission.
Nice. Well, thank you.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah. So now I want to open up that question to you too, Angela.
Yeah. I just want to say, being a business owner, one woman operation, it's a lot of work, and at a full-time job, motherhood, home chef, I basically call my life functional chaos right now. Just like Pam, you know, I didn't go to school for what I'm doing now. I went to school for psychology and minored in business. But I also find myself wearing every hat in the business, and some of them are not fitting no matter how hard I try to get out of my comfort zone. So I'm ready to hire employees, but I just don't have the funds to make it happen right now. And I also find myself running out of time and missing out on opportunities because I just don't have the time to give them what they need. And when I think about funds also, I feel like I've applied for every grant out there right now, but I'm haunted by Mark Cuban's advice. I heard him say once, saying that you'd be crazy to start a new venture with a loan, that if the business fails, one thing that's not going to go away is the fact that you're going to owe that money. So I'm just trying to, as I begin to maybe explore doing a loan, I'm just trying to figure out how to do it right. So definitely building relationships with people that know, you know, and those hats that I can't wear is definitely key. So I'm still trying to find some of them. But I definitely want to give a shout out to Sister Biz, because Makisha Booth at Sister Biz has definitely been a coach for me and helped me. And she has a loan fund that I think I'm ready to explore now. So I definitely want to echo what Pam and Betty were saying.
Yeah, we can keep on this topic of funding because that was definitely something I want to talk about. But Angela, do you have anything else to add as far as just your general obstacles that you feel were specific to you being a founder of color, or just in general, your obstacles? Yeah,
you know, as you get to that level where you're ready to scale your business, you're going to be faced with some challenges when deciding, okay, what needs to stay and what needs to go. And so the challenge I'm finding is when I'm looking to scale, other companies that have done it, when you look for advice, you see that they make sacrifices to cut costs. And so I'm in the process of moving actually from plastic to glass packaging, which is better for the environment. But I was actually advised against it because of the increased shipping cost, and then the more likelihood that packages would be damaged in transit. So I have been applying for grants, in order to help me order them at larger quantities so I can keep my prices down, but I haven't had luck yet there. And then when companies scale, sometimes they go away from what made them a brand. They might dilute their products, increasing chemical ingredients in the shelf life, and even changing the faces of their brand. So like, for example, Shea Moisture. When they began, they were primarily marketing to women of color, and they did it very successfully, so successfully that they were able to land wholesale accounts like Target, and then they were eventually sold to Unilever. They ended up changing, the face of their brand to include non-minorities, and got a lot of backlash from that, from their original market, feeling like they sold out. So right now that I'm on the cusp of scaling, I'm struggling with these issues and trying to solve these challenges before they arise so that I can stay true to my brand and my mission.
Okay, great. And Pamela, one of the things I admire about you and all of you guys, but I think Pamela, you've done an amazing job of harnessing resources as well. And I know, to add to this conversation, what other resources have you taken advantage of in this journey?
Well, I'm a graduate of Rocky Mountain Microfinance Institute. So this is actually my third business. So they've been in my corner from the beginning. So I get mentoring. They also have a loan program, which, like Angela said, I'm leery of like loans. I don't know if anybody remembers this gentleman. His name was Famous Amos, and he had these cookies. He used to make these cookies out of Hawaii. Well, he got so many investors because he was trying to grow his business that he was invested out of his business. He no longer owns the business. The business is owned, I think, by Nabisco or somebody else. They took off his face, but they still use the name, they still use the recipe. And that is just really one of my fears, is to work so hard doing this business and either getting in debt through loans or getting investors, that somehow I end up losing my business. But I really try. I'm working really hard now on networking, making sure that I can find people that, like Angela was saying, that can help me with some of the hats that are just too big for my head. I just can't do everything. And also, like she was saying, I've been asked to, don't you want to get into Whole Foods or these other places? And I really don't want to add chemicals and things to my products for shelf life. So that concerns me. The growth might me have to change some things, and I'm really concerned about that. But finding resources, I've done the Commons, I probably have done the SBDC, anything that's out there that can help me. My initial seed money came from Emily Griffith Opportunity School. I got $3,000 through a pitch to start my business. That's how I started my business. Okay, I just did a pivot where I was able to get funding from RMMFI to do that. I just recently, like Angela said, I looked at the GAP fund money, but the GAP fund money, that's for the whole state. You had to show a loss over the whole year of this year. And I wasn't able to, even though COVID has impacted my business, but it looks like I'm making money when actually I'm not making money because the money is going into the kitchen and supplies and transportation and delivery and all of those things. But I just really try to just stay on top of things. I read everything that I can find. I attend all types of seminars and webinars, just trying to learn what I can learn, because I am a little bit apprehensive, again, like I said, about taking out loans or getting investors. But I also know that if I want to scale, I've got to step out on faith and trust that God will send the right people and the right knowledge so that I can scale. But definitely just trying to find all the resources that I can, depending on my other female friends. Like I'm going to call Betty. I'm going to call Betty about this kitchen and how she did it for 20 years, but like asking questions, talking to people. You never know who's going to say what you need to hear. You never know. And then also just stepping out of my comfort zone and network with people that don't always look like me. Because there are people that do care about my business. I do have a following, and just trying to tap into that to find the right people that are going to do the right thing by me and my business.
Great.
I
wanted to ask you a question, Betty, but if you wanted to.
Well, I just wanted to add to the fact that we found our co-packer through another business that we networked and met at a Naturally Boulder event. And we talked about our businesses, and we were having a really hard time finding a co-packer. And she called me up one day and she said, "I found your co-packer." And I was like, oh my God. And she knew exactly what we were looking for. And sure enough, I set a meeting with them, and they have been our co-packer ever since. So yeah.
Networking.
Networking, and people who don't look like us. This woman, she started Natural Hapa, facing many challenges herself too, but she was looking out for me too, which is, I think that's the entrepreneurial special sauce, that glues us together, because we understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about those community pieces, but Betty, it kind of made me think about, both of these women are much earlier stage than where you're at. And you and I had a great conversation about kind of culturally, why it's maybe more challenging for people of color to enter into this packaged, especially packaged food, I think, but packaged space. I mean, there's no question, right? I see this is who I work with. I see this every day, that this is a very expensive business model, right? Everything has to be purchased up front. You have to buy all the packaging, all the ingredients, all the labor. I mean, it's a expensive business, no question. But do you think that there are, that there's maybe a money mindset or just culturally around, I mean, I heard both of you say, I don't want to take a loan. And I wonder if and we're just going to be real here. I wonder if a white man would feel the same way.
Yeah.
Right. So could you speak to that a little bit more? Because you definitely have a long history.
Yeah. I think our situation, and compared to a white male, there is no comparison. Actually, it's interesting because I saw a live interview you did with Juan of Green Belly Foods.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what struck me when he said, and I've known him for years, even before Green Belly, he actually was a waiter at our restaurant in Boulder.
Oh my gosh.
So we go back a long way, but this is really interesting. He said when he brought his cousin on to help him, one of the things was that he helped him get credit. Now his cousin is blonde and redhead, very white. I don't know, how related they are, but so it hit me. Okay, I know this, but it was just a reaffirmation of how difficult it is. It was the same business, same company, two representatives, one man of color and one white man. The white man can get credit. So that being said, I think like I said earlier, our relationships with our products are very personal. And I know that when we had the restaurant, it was that constant feedback from our customers and the fact that they kept coming back. And we kept winning awards and all of that, and it was so satisfying. So when we transitioned to the packaged food, we didn't get that. There wasn't that immediate satisfaction of they love our product, they love what we're doing. So you start questioning. And you're mass producing now. You kept the same recipe, and we actually had people saying to us how when we did demos in grocery stores, they were transported back to their days of Casa Alvarez restaurant because it tasted just like it. So that was a real nice reaffirmation. And now with COVID, we can't even do that. There are no tastings, there are no demos, there are no markets. So it feels we're starting to feel very disconnected. So we're trying to figure out how to maintain that connection with our customers, with our product. And so I think that's a big piece of who we are as people of color and our cultures. Family is important. I mean, not that it's not important for other people, but it's like this very deep rooted thing. And I have to say, going back to the money piece, all of our investors, and they're not major investors, but our seed money and our I want to say 95% of them are named Alvarez. Thank God there's a big Alvarez family. So they have the confidence where after 20 years in business, running a restaurant, which restaurants have a failure rate of like 80% in the first 18 months or something like that. We did it for 20 years successfully. You go to a banker, it's like, oh, you making money yet? That's the big question. Like, no. The first year of a packaged food business, we're not making money. So it's a very it's an interesting business. It's a totally different business model than restaurants or any interactive, because you are separated from the public, your customers, your fans. So I think I'm starting to, I am doing, actually just did a Nourish Festival virtual booth. So I'm going to be doing a virtual Nourish Festival show where actually I'll be able to live chat with people, which is great. I mean, we did this for the last couple of years where, thousands of people came to Broomfield to check out all the gluten-free products. So we're trying to find ways of connecting again virtually, so yeah.
Yeah, I do think all of you, and most founders of color that I meet don't have an exit strategy. They're not trying to sell their they don't go into it saying, I'm going to sell this to Unilever or Nabisco or anything like that for millions of dollars. Like, this is a personal business. And I'm here to make this my life's work, and I'm very passionate about it, but it is a different mentality than I think a lot of other, but for reasons that other people may or let's just say white people in general go into business. I see that definitely skewed with the people I work with. I want to shift gears just because, of course, I knew that time would fly by, and we can always circle back around to some of this. And I want to invite people to type in questions as well. We'll save some time for that. But I mentioned at the beginning that I am on the board of Colorado FoodWorks, and I'll be taking over the organization in October. And big shoes to fill there. But I had to, I think maybe it was you, Betty, or it might have been Orion, that she challenged me to go back and say, how many of these networking events did we, how diverse were they, and how diverse were our panelists? And I can, say that they were not, and I want to do better. And so I will use my, challenge me, teach me. I know it's not your job to teach us, but you're here, and I appreciate any learnings you can help me with. But if I'm a founder of an organization or in the food industry, any leader in this area, how can we create inclusion? How can I do better in this organization? I would love each of you to talk about just how do we increase more engagement with the BIPOC community? I don't know if anybody wants to.
I can
talk about this.
One thing, and that is get out into the communities that you are trying to attract and ask them what they need. What do you need from an organization like mine? What resources can we help present so that you will benefit? I mean, it's all about a benefit strategy. People just don't go to networking sessions just for fun, I think. But you go to educate yourself. You go to meet people that might be able to be a partner or a key person in your organization. But when you go to a networking and nobody looks like you, it's put offish. I mean, I've been able to negotiate both the white world and not, but it feels so good when you walk into a room and you can connect with somebody just by being there, because they look like you. So you already have some connection, you have something in common. But that being said, it's really important to get out there and find out what people need. Just, and by, getting businesses like ours to do that too. Say, hey, we're looking to do a panel. Can you let me know what you need and what people need? Things like that. I think that will make it a much more inclusive. When you involve people in the planning, not just invite them to come. That's the difference between being inclusive and not being inclusive.
And I agree with Betty for sure. Go ahead. I'm from Michigan, and I have a friend that was hired to be the inclusive director for a organization that recently caught some fire, for doing things unethically in the organization. So she was assigned to bring inclusivity and diversity to the organization, and all of her ideas kept getting shot down by the company. So eventually she wrote like an open letter, quitting, saying that you brought me on probably just to be the face of the company, but not make any actual change. So I think that you actually, before you even go and, and find someone and look outside the company to bring in diversity, you have to have that training on implicit biases and understand systematic racism and what it's done over the history of our country to, keep people down. And so you have to level the playing field. You have to create an authentic, welcoming environment. And you have to be aware of how individuals make assumptions about based on their own biases. And because if you go into a room, like Betty said, and no one looks like you, you're going to feel that pressure to prove them wrong or maybe even prove them right, and it's palpable. So I think having formal training beforehand and then going out and bringing people in and leveling the playing field is definitely key for sure.
I want to tap in on this too, because I have been in the rooms where I'm the one that looks like me. So I've got to go through making sure that they're comfortable with me first, if I can even go into what I'm there for. So I have to spend half the time, touting what education I have, just to make people feel more comfortable before they can talk to me about my business. Secondly, like Betty and Angela says, you have to have training and you have to be able to have us in the planning stage. But more than that, it can't just be a one-time deal. Like I did the best I did in my business in June because it was Black Matters. We're gonna buy Black. But where are those people at now in September? Black lives and all of that. Black businesses matter too. And our businesses are just not for Black people. We're not into this just to serve only people that look like us. We're into this to be business owners like other people in America. But I find that a lot of times when you talk about support, it only happens for a brief moment. Then it ends. So, and when you're doing what you're going to do, you need to make sure that whatever you're offering, whatever you're going to be providing is long-term, not just a quick fix, or not just to be the face of a business or the face of a panel, but it's long-term. You're having people that look like us that are in your organization, having people that look like us that can help you help us. But it just cannot be what it has been, a quick fix. Oh, let's put her face up here, or, I'm going to support this business this month. I had people tell me that, well, I'm supporting you because you're a Black owned business. I love that, but continue to support me because I'm a good business, because I make good food, that I make food that brings back memories, not just because I'm a Black. If that's what gets you in the door, I'm happy with that. But don't let that be what keeps you with me. I provide good customer service. I have good food, and I love what I do. I don't do this for poops and giggles. This means something to me, So it's really important that it's just not a one-time thing, or just to say it's like somebody saying, oh, I got a Black friend, or I got a Mexican friend. That doesn't make you inclusive because you have a friend, So I think that's really important, that it's just not a one-time thing.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Pamela, have you ever been to a Colorado Foodworks event?
I didn't even know about it, but I wrote it down on my list to find out.
Well,
I will be getting involved.
You are the person one of the people that we want to be a part of the organization. And clearly we did not do a good job of even finding you, let alone inviting you. So, that's on us, and I want to do better, but I was just curious if you even knew about it or heard about it or felt
it at all. Did not know about it at all, but I did write it to back. I do write things down and go back and follow up. And I would also say this, as a business of color, some of the owners have to come back on us as well. When you meet people that can benefit you, you got to follow up with people. You can't just, and I've been guilty of that, like getting cards, and I've got stacks of cards that I never followed up on because I felt some kind of way. Well, I've got to get past feeling some kind of way and follow through on that. So some of the onus does come on the business owner as well, to ensure that if you're invited into the table, that you make your seat large enough, that you're there, that you're present, that when someone offers you something, that you look into it, you follow up on contacts, you follow up on those networking kind of that you meet. And I haven't always done that because I think there's a trust issue. Like, do they really mean it? Do they really mean what they're going to say? Or they really mean what they're going to do? So I have to also, for myself, and I'm doing that, just step out on faith and return phone calls. And can't set up meetings now in the same way, but definitely taking some of the onus on me, not always thinking that someone has to invite me. I need to invite myself. I need to check out things for myself. And then also as a female of color entrepreneur, making sure that we always share whatever we learn with other female entrepreneurs, because everyone doesn't know everything. And if I can help Angela, I definitely share. You know, there's 8 of us that was in the group. We share information. We talk about things. We talk about our crazy lives, our mental health, our bottles. Is this the right can? Should I order this? Should I, you know? So doing that also will help us get into some of those other tables, because we'll also be well informed.
I love that. And I should add, you know, Naturally Bolder is another networking organization for natural products. So not just food, but all like facial and body care and anything natural related. And so, I mean, Betty, you said you had used, now, you know, you've been to Naturally Bolder events, but have you ever been to a Colorado Food Works event?
No, I have not. Actually, I met Aaron from Colorado Food, or who helped start Colorado Food Works. And he mentioned it at a Naturally Bolder event, but then I never heard anything about it again. Naturally Bolder, we've been members of Naturally Bolder since like day one, when we still had the restaurant, but we were thinking about starting to package our products back in 2008. So they've grown, but they're also, you know, they're a very white organization. They're in Boulder. And I think I was probably the only person of color ever. Aaron might differ, but they've been very supportive though. They have been very supportive, and actually they held 1 or 2 of their meetups at our restaurant quite a few years ago. So they've always been tried to be inclusive. And they're actually, I just saw that they have a call out to board members, applications for board members. So I'm going to put that out in my network and see how many people of color we can interest in getting on the board, because that's really how it starts. Getting people involved so that then they can bring in more people and ideas, and have that verification that, you know, they're on the board, they have a place, like everybody else. So yeah, I think it's a systemic change kind of thing. It's not going to happen overnight, but I'm glad we're having these conversations.
Yeah. And Angela, have you ever been to have you heard of Naturally Bolder, or ever been to one of those events?
No, I haven't, but I actually go to Boulder sometimes for like a photo shoot, or for Jill's Boulder restaurant there. So I love the area. I love to be on a list and know when they're going to have another event.
Yeah. I just wonder, I mean, I guess getting like how, you know, as an organization, like, how do we find you, right? How do I find Pamela? How does Naturally Bolder find Angela? Like, if you're not just already in that space, I mean, there are, even though my research of you know, founders of color brands turned up a very small list, I know that there are more of you out there, and I don't, like, how do I find you? Because you're not going to the typical channels, right?
Yeah.
You're not on an email list for Naturally Bolder or whatever, right? Like, I don't know. I don't.
Well, you kind of have to go to where we are. You have to, you have to go to the Urban League Denver, or there's a group, I probably going to miss the acronym, but it's Colorado Black Women for Political Action. There, you have to come to us first. You have to network with us, and maybe then get that feel of how it feels maybe for us to be the only person in the room. And you know, you'll understand that, but you'll also network with us and tell us about your event. So come to us first.
Yeah.
And I think really stress the board of getting people on your board that represent our demographics, because they will then bring in, then there's credibility, then there's trust. Oh, they're on the board. That must be a good organization. you know. Otherwise, there is I think Pamela mentioned a trust issue. So I think, and you know, we're all busy. We don't have time to spare to be at an event that like is totally meaningless for us. So I think that's really important to creating a value in that as well. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Good stuff. I mean, good stuff for me and good stuff for all of us. I mean, you guys, if you're not my panelists, if you're not looking at the chat, you'll definitely have to go back and look at it. Tons of great great comments and cheering you on, and and I will say SistaBiz is another organization to go find, Black women of color, and I'm sure that there are so many more. And so I am committed with Colorado Food Works to go out and do the hard work of finding where people are at, and not just assuming that they'll find us, because that's not gonna just unrealistic. So I haven't seen any questions, lots of comments, which thank you all for getting so involved and shouting out and doing all the shout outs. But is there anything, I guess we have about 8 minutes left. If no one else has questions, are there other things that you guys want to be sure we touch on here today in this space, both for people of color who want to start that packaged product and are not feeling like maybe they are welcome in this space, or to people who are running these organizations?
I want to touch on that a little bit. I think I know quite a few female bakers that look like me, that are on Instagram, that are doing their things. But what we have to do as Black-owned businesses, get our street legalities together, like making sure that we're licensed, making sure that we have bank accounts, that we have a business account, that we have all those things and all our ducks in a row, so that when you meet someone that's willing to come in and help you, you have all those things together. I mentor another woman that has a business. She's not a baker, but she has a business, and she didn't want to set up a business account. She didn't want to do certain things. And I explained to her how I lost out on funding because I couldn't show how much money I made, because I wasn't putting that money in the bank, because I wasn't trusting what was going on. So when it came time to apply for certain funding, I couldn't show, even though I had made money, I couldn't show what I needed to show. So I think that if you're starting a business, any kind of business, a person of color, you got to get those kinds of things, your ducks and stuff in a row, so that when opportunity comes, you got to stay ready. So when opportunities come, you can be ready. You can't, it's very hard to go back, because you can miss opportunities by not having certain things in place. So one of the things that I've learned the hard way is get all your street legalities together, get registered, have that account, have that EIN number, have those licenses, have that tax information, so that when it's time, when someone comes in, you can take off because you're ready, versus having to get ready, stay ready, be ready. So when people come in, because you never know when opportunity is going to come. And if you're not ready, they may not come back around for a long time, or if ever again. So just be ready.
Thank you. I mean, I don't want to be like, you got to participate in the way society is, but there is a certain threshold of being a business person and having those things. And that's something I really work with a lot of women on, is getting those ducks in a row so that you can go out. You have a cash flow statement, you have a profit and loss, you're tracking your expenses. And those things are hard when you're not an entrepreneur, you've never done this before. Most of us don't get that training. So Betty,
could you imagine doing all of that work and then your product isn't there? So sometimes I'm like, okay, do some of the work ahead of time, but get out there too with proof of concept and your program, and testing the market as well. Because I think if I had done all those things that I probably should have done before I started, I may not have started. Because sometimes when you don't know those things, you have to put it in the hands of someone else, and you have to hire people. And for me, I tried to start a clothing line before, And of course, I didn't know how to manufacture clothes. I didn't know anything about a website. And so I had to hire, developers, and they failed me. I ended up having to go to Tennessee to sue someone to get my money back. This before I even had a product to sell. So sometimes you just have to go for it. And then once you know that you're on to something hot, then, start that process and make sure all your ducks are in a row.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, kind of the other side of that. Betty, what did you want to?
I just wanted to mention the small business development centers. They are a gold mine, and I think the best kept secret, I want to say, or the worst kept secret, because you need to find them. They have so many resources, and it's all free. I've been a consultant with them on people who want to start a restaurant, and basically I sit down with them and go through all what Pamela said, how to get your numbers, how to start a bank account, the food, everything that has to do with food regulations, and it's free to the customer. It's free to their clients for as long as they need them. And they have consultants on accounting, legal consultants. So I think the legal, there is a little bit of a fee, but nothing like what you would pay a lawyer. And they are all lawyers. So Small Business Development Center, the one in Boulder, that's the one I'm part of. But they're all over the country. And they have an amazing group of hundreds of consultants, maybe thousands, that people, they're just connect. People call in, they say, I'm looking for this. They connect the person with the consultant, and then you take it from there. So it's a really nice personal way of getting all of the basics with some really good professional guidance. So highly recommend them.
Great, thank you. Well, I know we only have 2 minutes left, but I just we've gotten, this has been extremely insightful and real conversation, maybe the best one ever in Denver Startup Week. So I will we'll celebrate that. So 1 minute left. Any final closing remarks? Just a quick 1 or 2 sentences.
Support us.
Support us. Yeah, I love it.
I want to say thank you.
Go ahead,
Angela.
I just want to say, we are here. We're ready. We're working hard. We are doing the work now so that we can show people that we're around, that you don't have to, dig and try to find us. We're here, we're ready to grow, and we're ready for capital.
Yes.
Always ready for capital.
Yeah. Betty, any couple sentences to leave us with?
Well, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I feel very honored to share my story, really, and I'm always open. I know I have it on my LinkedIn page that I'm open to helping out anyone who needs information, whatever I've learned over my years. I'm very, very open and willing to share. I think it is about building our community. And it does take a village to raise our businesses, our children, our communities. And I think it's important that we have these very honest conversations. Sarah, thank you so much for putting it all together and for listening to us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, go out and support these and all the amazing founders of color brands that we are so fortunate to have access to. So thank you for sharing with us, for being real, and thank you everyone for being here today. I guess we are 10 o'clock, so have an amazing day, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.